Hey everyone, it's Jill Celeste here for the Celestial Circle and our module for March, which is all about getting clients from your speaking gigs. So what are we going to talk about in this month's module? Well, there are four components, if you will, or parts of this process that I want us to follow to help you actually get clients from speaking gigs. So the first thing we're going to discuss is picking a compelling topic, right? We want to make sure you have a topic that attracts your ideal clients. The second thing we'll discuss is finding the right speaking gig so that you're talking in front of your ideal clients. Then we'll move into getting what I call your speaking documents ready, and I'll share more of what that is. And then finally, the follow-up process, and a really important part of this conversion that we're going for with getting clients from speaking. So let's get right into it. Picking a compelling topic. The first step to getting clients from your speaking gigs is really all about your topic. What you talk about is super important, and I want you to take some time thinking about your topic. Ideally, you want to create one master presentation that you can use over and over again. So let's figure out what that presentation should be about. So I want you to brainstorm some topic ideas. Now, if you already have a topic in a presentation, perfect. You don't have to do this. But if you are in need, if you need to create a presentation for this, then this is what I want you to do. I want you to brainstorm some topic ideas. And there's lots of different ways you can do this. Here are the ones that have worked best for me and for other clients that I've worked with in the past. The first thing you can do is think about the top question you've received from your current clients, past clients, and your sales prospects. Is there something they're always asking you? That could be a perfect topic for your signature talk. Another thing you could do is look at what people call in our industry a proprietary system. So let me explain what that is. A proprietary system is something that you create. It's usually multiple steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 8 steps. And it explains the process you take people through in your coaching or in your services to help them reach the transformation they're looking for. So it could be, for like in my industry, 8 steps to get more clients. Or if you are a graphic designer, like Hannah, who's in our group, she has 9 steps to visual branding. So if you already have a proprietary system, or if you know the steps that you're taking, that you're leading each of your clients through, then that could be a source of inspiration for your topic, because that is already kind of spelled out, and you would have a lot of your content written if you have that system. If you don't, that's okay. You can still create it. And if you need help with that, just let us know in the Facebook group. The final thing you can ask yourself to help you brainstorm the topic ideas is, what is the big problem you solve for your clients? What is the thing that is keeping your clients up at night? Think about the worries and the concerns and the pain points that your clients currently have before they work with you. And if you can nail that down, that would be an excellent topic for your signature talk. So here are just ideas that you can do. If you need to, sit down at the dining room table, get your journal or your Post-it notes, or if you're comfortable typing on Google Docs, and just start brain dumping certain ideas. And then if you need help isolating it, turn into our Facebook group or one of our Q&A calls so that we can help you narrow this down if you need it. But I think this will get you started on picking something. Again, we want you to have one signature talk, one presentation that you will use over and over again. So make sure this is evergreen content, something that really will always entice your ideal clients. So once you select your topic, it's time to put your presentation together. And I just want to cover some tips that will help you. I've done so many presentations based on signature talks. In fact, I have several signature talks that I have created, because sometimes the audience changes just a little bit from referral sources or from perfect ideal clients, etc. Here's the thing that I really found works best, at least in my industry, and hopefully it's the same for you. Thinking about sharing the what, the why, and a little bit of the how. So what does that mean? It's important for you to hone in on the pain points of your ideal clients, what they are feeling right now and why they are feeling that way. So again, as something for me about attracting clients, what pain points I might hit is that they tried marketing, nothing seems to work, they feel like they're spinning their wheels, they're not attracting the right clients, they're not getting any referrals, they go to networking meetings and nothing seems to happen, their cash flow is terrible, etc. And the why this is happening is because often, at least with my ideal clients, they haven't been taught marketing. They haven't received structured marketing instruction to help them learn to market effectively, and their mindset is usually not in a good place, which helps really perpetuate their marketing woes. That is an example of the what and the why. Then I would move into a little bit of the how. I don't want to leave them hanging. I want to give them a valuable tip or solution or something that they can implement right away so that they feel a sense of assurance that this is something that's surmountable, especially if I can help them. And I want to give them something that they feel like they can do. So if I might, for example, tell them information on how to find referral sources, or something like that. So I don't give them the whole farm, but I give them a little bit of the how so that they feel like they've gotten value from talking with me, and also that that know, like, trust factor is being built. So think about what that is. Then if you want, depending on the presentation and what you are allowed to do, you can say, there are probably 50 ways to solve this problem. I'm going to give you one, and if you feel like you need a deeper dive, let's talk. And that seeds the opportunity for you and them to work together. So remember that as you're building your presentation. Don't make it all how, because you're giving them all the answers and they're not going to want to work with you because they think they know it all. Even though we know that they need the accountability and the support and the structure, etc., what they're seeking at that moment is knowledge. So give them a little bit, but not a lot. So while you're working on getting your presentation together, it's time to line up some speaking gigs. So basically, step 1 and step 2 are congruent steps, things that you do at the same time. Don't wait until your presentation is done to do this. It takes time to get on speaking calendars, so I want you to start reaching out right away. And trust me, you will have your presentation in time for your speaking engagement because there's nothing like a deadline, right? Another thing I want to mention is right now we're looking for free speaking gigs, not gigs that you would get necessarily reimbursed for by cash. That's because all of us in the Celestial Circle are focused on visibility, right? And getting our names and our reputation and our knowledge in front of a lot of people. That's how we're going to attract more clients. So we want you, though, to not just pick any speaking gig. Maybe at the beginning that's okay, but I think most of us now are involved in our journeys, and we can have some selection there. And that means we need to pick the right speaking gigs, the ones that put you in front of your ideal clients and your referral partners. Don't forget your referral partners, because that is an important part of getting clients. So to find the right speaking gigs, you have to know where your ideal clients are hanging out. Specifically, what networking groups they attend, what conferences they like to go to, and other places where they're gathered in large numbers. So I'm going to repeat that again. You want to see where they're hanging out with networking groups, what conferences they like to go to, and any other places that you can think of where they're hanging out in large numbers. So if you are at this point in this module where you're like, I still have not nailed down my ideal client, no worries. You have access to the Celestial Marketing Academy module. So you were sent a login for that when you enrolled in this program. So the Celestial Marketing Academy is a robust marketing fundamental marketing classes, really. And if you go to modules 10 and 11, those two modules will help you determine who your ideal client is. So if you're still unsure, then go do modules 10 and 11. It will not take you long, and then you'll have a really good idea as to who your ideal client is. If you already know who your ideal client is, then it's time to go the next step and find out where they're networking, find out where they're learning, and where they're gathering. And you may not know this by looking at the demographics. You may need to reach out and ask them. Ask your sales prospects, ask your current clients, even ask your past clients, and be specific. Say, I'm trying to find more wonderful people like you. What local networking groups do you go to? What conferences do you like to attend? What classes do you like to take? Ask them, where are you hanging out, so to speak? Don't use that language, but that's what you want to do. Do some research here. And that way you are going to be in places where your ideal clients are, because birds of a feather flock together. So once you have these events sort of listed out, events, meeting, networking groups, conferences, workshops, classes, meetups, etc., it's time to reach out to those organizations. So on this slide, you have a sample email that you can send to an organization. First, I want you to try to find the exact person you need to email. Now, depending on who it is and what it is, it may be the president of that chapter, like the networking group chapter. But if it's like a professional organization, there's often someone in charge of training and education. So do a web search or ask your sales prospects and clients, who do you know who would I contact at blah, 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 right? So you really want to personalize this email as much as possible and making sure it's arriving to the right person. So do a little bit of research there if you can. Then you're going to write an email. Now you'll notice on this slide, this email is short and sweet because you're after the answer to one question, which is this: do you accept outside speakers? And you see that right there on the second paragraph. If they say yes, they'll flip an email back to you, no worries. And then you can move on to the logistics, right? If they say no, then you won't have to spin your wheels anymore. You won't have to get into it with them. And I can tell you, I'm a chapter president and an area developer for virtual networking. And if I get this kind of email like, hey, do you accept outside speakers? This is who I am. This is what I talk about. I am happy to respond because it's quick and easy. I don't have to read a long email. I do not open speaker one sheets and all that crap that people want to send me. I don't go over to your LinkedIn profile as part of the conversation. I'm just saying, oh, here's a potential speaker. Let's continue the conversation. And that's what I want you to do. I have also used this same email or similar email to land all of my outside speaking gigs. And I have been paid for speaking gigs. I have traveled for speaking gigs. I can't even tell you how many times I've spoken in front of people using this same exact email. So please don't overthink this process. I know often we feel like we need to write a lot, but at this juncture, it's being succinct and asking the one question, are you accepting outside speakers, is the point. That's what we want you to do. Other ways to find speaking gigs. So again, if you know the organization, if you know the chapter president, you could send that email out. But there are other ways to get speaking gigs as well. If you're already in a networking group, or even maybe a professional association, get on the speaking calendar. Even if you've already done a speech or presentation, get on it again. I know we're always looking for speakers. So if it's been 3 months, 6 months, a year since you've spoken to your own networking group, you really need to get back on that calendar, okay? If you're a member of a professional association, ask them, how can you do a webinar to the group? Ask them how you can speak at the conference. If you're a member, this should be something that they help you with. Another thing you could do is you could host your own event. There's no stopping you, right? That's like the creme de la creme, I know, but I did this back, several years ago. I had the most fun, and I really should do it again. It was local to me, and I rented a little meeting room here in my community, and what I did is I paid for in advance 3 months of afternoon, and I hosted my own event. And that way I didn't have to worry about speaker requirements and all that stuff. It was my own show. You can absolutely do that as well. That's a speaking gig. And so just remember that as an option. Also look for call for speaker announcements with professional organizations. Again, professional organizations that you may belong to, or professional organizations that your ideal clients belong to. But again, because you want to go where your people are gathered. And so if you have, like for me, if there's something like a holistic organization that's holding a conference, with holistic professionals all out there, those are my ideal clients. I would love to do a presentation for them. And so if they're having a conference, they're looking for speakers. So maybe joining their mailing list, or again, reaching out to the person in charge of that conference, looking over their website. They may, you may even have to look at last year's information, because often when they're in between conferences, they don't update the page until it's time. But it'll give you a time frame you can put on your calendar so you can reach back out. And finally, if you really want to be, if you really want to invest some money into this, you can hire an agency to help you book speaking gigs. And these tend to be not just free, but paid speaking gigs. I mention this because some of you, this might be of interest to you. I've never done it, so I can't give you much advice on it, but just know that those companies are out there who help line up speaking gigs with you. And that it might be an option for you. Maybe not today or this year, but down the road. I just wanted you to know that these businesses are out there. So again, you're working on your speech, you're picking your topic, you're getting your speech laid out, your presentation laid out. Concurrently, you were also reaching out to get speaking gigs. You're reaching out to outside organizations, the organizations you already belong to, anywhere where you can go and speak, right? So you're going to start getting things on your calendar. You're going to start getting events on your calendar, and it's time to start thinking about what you'll do once you're there speaking. And a big piece of that is getting what I call your speaking documents ready. The big document that I really want you to work on is a raffle form. And I know it sounds hokey, but I promise you this works. This is your golden ticket to converting clients from speaking gigs. As you can see, this is the one I have used for years. I still use it if I go out and do outside speaking. It is a valuable little sheet of paper that tells them so much about the audience. You can see I'm gleaning information just from this raffle form. I'm gleaning whether or not this person is an ideal client. But first of all, I ask them if they own a business, because some people aren't entrepreneurs who attend networking meetings. I can't help them if they don't own a business. So that's a part of that delineation as to whether or not a person's an ideal client. And I also have on there on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolutely effective. How effective is your marketing? If someone's writing 8, 9, 10, they probably don't feel like they need their services. I may not be the right person for them. I may not focus on them from an ideal client standpoint. Another thing this form is sharing with me is whether or not this person wants to learn more about the services. As you can see, I have a question there. Business owners, would you be interested in a free Get Acquainted call to talk about your marketing? If that person writes yes, I got a very warm lead, right? And another thing that this form tells me is whether or not this person wants to hear from me in the future. I'm asking for an opt-in right there at the bottom. So if they want to hear from me, I will know. And by the way, this is an acceptable opt-in here in the United States and in Canada and with GDPR, because you are specifically asking them to join your email list or your mailing list, meaning snail mail. So this means that you can add to your email list by asking this question. So here's the process that I follow that you are welcome to benchmark. So once the organizer of the networking group or whoever says, yes, we accept outside speakers, in that process of figuring out the date and the time, etc., one of the questions I ask is if I may do a raffle. I have never, I don't know, I wish I knew how many speaking gigs I've done. I've done so many. Let's just say, I'm going to make a number up. Let's just say I've done 100. 99 have said yes. I had one who said no, but there was another option that I could do, which was to pass a clipboard around and people can give me their email address for a copy of my presentation, which was absolutely fine. But 99% have said yes. And so I make sure I have the permission of the organizer to do the raffle. Then what I do is I usually go buy a very small gift. Usually it's like a gift card to a local coffee shop, or maybe a copy of a book, something that's small. We're not spending a king's ransom here, okay? When I am there and I've been introduced and I'm standing up in front of the people about to begin my presentation, I pass out the raffle forms and I ask them to fill it out while I am talking. And then when I'm done with my presentation, I gather up the the raffle forms, and I pull the winner's name. Sometimes I have the networking chapter president pull the person's name, etc. If I try to make it as fun, it depends on the crowd. And so now you have someone who is going to get your little raffle prize, and you have a stack of raffle forms. Now, if you have time while you're still at that networking meeting or wherever you're speaking, flip through them and see if you find people who've checked yes to that next step, meaning, would you be interested in that get acquainted call, which is the question I asked. And if I can, I try to get in front of that person before he or she leaves and reach out and say, oh, I'm so glad we're going to talk on the phone. If I can, book the time right then. Get the calendars out and go, hey, listen, I'm free tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Are you free? Okay, great. What's your phone number? I'll give you a call. If you can do that before you leave the meeting, even with one person, that's wonderful, because people might get excited when they're speaking to you. And then by the time you get home or back to the office, things happen and talk themselves out of it, whatever. So if you can captivate them and capture their information before they walk out the door, that's better. That is if you can do that. You may find that you're not able to, but if you can nail one or two of those calls or whatever it is your call to action is, if you can get some movement on that before you leave the meeting, that would be good. So here's the thing. With this one form, I have converted clients. It may not happen right away, but through consistent following up methods, such as my weekly e-newsletter and my warm letters, etc., I stay on that person's radar. We're going to talk more about following up in the next section, but this is the critical document that I want you to put together. There are other types of speaking documents that you may want to put together. I don't want to get into it too deeply because it's in the Celestial Marketing Academy, and you may or may not be interested in all of these. These are, of course, optional forms of marketing collateral, but I have brought with me a flyer that's all about me. It explains my bio, my experience, and my programs, and my proprietary system, blah, 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 blah. You can learn more about that in Module 5 of the Celestial Marketing Academy. I've also brought with me testimonial flyers, which are people bragging and boasting about working with me. Again, that is available in Module 5. Make sure your business cards, I know most of us have business cards, but make sure they're up to date. Make sure you bring plenty of them. And if it's time for you to redesign, or if you just want to refresh your business cards, go to Module 3 in the Celestial Marketing Academy. I have some instruction there. And finally, in Celestial Marketing Academy in Module 8, I have an example of the raffle form, because I know exactly what your question is. How do I get a copy of that form? It's available in the Celestial Marketing Academy, Module 8. You will see it there. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. But again, think about what you want to bring with you, including the raffle form, to really create that what we call leave behind, so that people can remember you when they get back home. Now we're going to be down to the last part of this process, and it's really super vital important, and it's one I know that we struggle with. Even though in the month of February we did Follow-Up Friday, we're still going to have to refine our systems and create systems for following up, especially after speaking gigs. So I want to share with you my process of what I do with these raffle forms once I get home. So as soon as I come home from a networking meeting where I've done the speech, etc., I actually block a little time on my calendar so that I can do this right away. I try not to have a call or something else going on, so that I have, even just 30 minutes to do some of this administrative work while it's still fresh in my mind and in the mind of the audience. So what I usually do is I have all these raffle forms and I sort them into some type of pile. And, and it's varied and changed, depending on the forms I've received back. Some of the piles I've created are ideal client versus non-ideal client. I read the form and go, yep, I can help that person. Nope, I can't help that person. I've also sorted it to people who want to hear from me and who don't want to hear from me. And so again, how you sort it just doesn't matter, but just sort them. What I want you to do is to extrapolate the people that are probably never going to work with you. And then what I do is I shred the information, because they've given me personal information, more than likely a phone number and address. So I do use the shredder so that I can protect their information. Then I email everyone, not from my email software, which is Infusionsoft. I actually open up Outlook and I individually send each person a thank you. So, of course, I haven't shredded the information yet. That'd be hard to get their email address. But everyone, whether they want to hear from me or not in the future, I just want to thank them. It's a lovely closure item. Then I look at their form, again, because this is a personal email, and I look at what information they've given me. If they've opted into my email list, then I'll say, hey, I see you are interested in getting emails from me, just so you know. Every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern, I send a newsletter. So that'll be coming to you on this upcoming Thursday. If they want to schedule that Get Acquainted call, which you may also know as a discovery session, virtual tea, they have different names. Whatever that is for you, I explain how to schedule one. If I couldn't nab that person at the end of the meeting, I make sure I explain that process in this email. So each email is a little personalized depending on the people and what they put on the form, but I do this right away. I do not let my day end, if possible, without doing step number 2. Then once all those individual personalized emails go out, I look at the people who have opted in to my email and my mailing list. I go into my email software, again, it's Infusionsoft, and I input all that information so that they are queued up for my next newsletter, they're queued up for my next warm letter, etc. It all goes in there. And then I take an extra step and I find the people, especially the ones that I really think I can connect with, who might be good clients and or referral partners. And I try to find their Facebook pages or their Twitter accounts, Instagram. I don't use LinkedIn, but yes, LinkedIn, if you are a LinkedIn user, I try to find them on social media, not in a stalky way, but just as a way to continue the conversation in a social context, which is what the social media sites are for. So I also do that as well. So that's the process for when I get home. And then about a week later, I continue with this process. I look to see who hasn't scheduled the Get Acquainted call. Though they have expressed an interest, I make sure to reach out to that person. I've also, probably, especially after mulling things over, I'm like, maybe just a potential coffee date would be good. So I reach out to those people. Again, coffee dates are with people who are potential referral partners. So that might be something I might do, depending on the crowd, of course. I do make sure they are receiving my e-zine. Since it's been a week, they should have gotten one in those 7 days' time. So I just, again, because of the software I use, I'm able to see that they've received my e-zine. And then I continue to thoughtfully comment on their social media posts. Again, not in a super stalker, icky way, but my favorite way to do is through Facebook. Again, it really depends on the rapport. I don't do this with everyone, but if I felt a connection, I might ask to be their Facebook friend and comment on the picture of their dog. And again, nothing obnoxious, but just to kind of make that connection and build that relationship. So I continue to do that. Remember the number 20 as we reach out. We talked about a bit about this in the Follow-Up Friday modules. That's how many times a prospect will need to hear from you on average before they purchase from you. Now, you may have sped up the process a little bit because they got to meet you in person and heard your knowledge firsthand. That could accelerate the know, like, trust process. But for simplicity's sake, remember, 20 reach outs. This is a practice of patience and tenacity and consistency as it relates to your follow-ups. You've learned about Follow-Up Friday this past month in February. Continue that practice. Continue carving that time once a week to do follow-ups. Add the new people that you've met through speaking gigs into that process so that you have it systematized. You're not overthinking it or not thinking about it. But remember, it's a patient process. But you have to start somewhere, and you just did reach out number 1 when you speak to them. You did reach out number 2 when you email them the same day. You did reach out number 3, again, depending on the person, if they send a warm letter. You did reach out number 4 if you got a coffee date. So you're rapidly accumulating this number. So in a nutshell, I just always like to summarize. Here's the process to follow to convert clients from your speaking gigs in a very simple form. Got to have the compelling topic so that they're interested in what it is you're sharing. You got to have that raffle form. or some type of way to glean information from the audience members so you can identify who your ideal clients are. And you got to have consistent follow-ups. That is how you get clients every time from speaking gigs. Again, this is not a fast process. This is not something you're going to do and get rich overnight, but you're going to increase your visibility. You're going to meet more people. You're going to add to your email list. You're going to gain more confidence. And yes, at the end of this road, you will get more clients, but you have to be generous in this process, consistent and persistent. So that is our module on getting clients from speaking gigs. I will have some questions and prompts this month in our Facebook group to help you remember to do the work, see if you have any questions. So look for those prompts. They won't be every day, but a couple times a week. And of course, lean into the group for support, ask your questions there, and take advantage of our Q&A calls for more information, more dialogue on how to do this. I am proud of you. I know you can do this. I know this is possible. This is something I have done for years with tremendous success. And I know this will be a success for you if you can do the work. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I'm sending you so much love. Talk to you soon.